All right, wonderful song. Thank you so much, Tricia. There's always been a rainbow hanging over your head. And when you see it, you will see it everywhere. You will see it in the world. Do you know what our problem is? Is that we've forgotten that we don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. So if we are telling ourselves a story of lack and limitation and conflict and judgment and fear and anger and frustration, guess what? That's what we're going to see in the world. If you're telling yourself a story of sickness, that's what you're going to see in the world. If you're telling yourself a story of abundance and prosperity, that's what you'll see in the world. If you're telling yourself of the story of healing, that's what I'm going to see in the world. If I'm telling myself the story of God within me, that's what I'm going to see in you and in the world. This is from a statement from Eric Butterworth, who's a famous Unity minister. So today we're going to learn that we can live the principles of truth, and also that we must, if we want to see that in the world. If we want to see the manifestations of truth in the world, we're going to have to live it. We cannot engage in the same old arguments that we have always engaged in, of I'm right and you're wrong, or I am better than you in any way, or I'm more advanced than you in any way. God lives in each and every one of us. The Spirit of life lives in each and every one of us in the same equal amount. The only difference is who's willing to put it into practice. So I'm calling out everyone here today, everyone online, including myself, starting with myself. Where, how, and where, and why, and when can I put this into practice? What is mine to do? How can I step forward in the truth of who I am and begin to make a determination and a declaration that that's only what I want to see? Because it's just too easy to blame what you're experiencing on something else out there. But let's be practical, because Unity is practical Christianity, metaphysical, practical Christianity, and positive. So we want to be practical. If I'm blaming factors out there for what's going on in my world, how am I going to change it? The equation is, when I'm doing that, they have to change in order for me to be happy. They're going to have to change in order for me to be happy, in order for the world to be different. Something out there and someone out there is going to have to change. It's not going to happen, my friends. The only one that I can change is myself. And the only mind that needs to change is mine. And then whoever's hanging around with you, whoever you seem to bring into your energy space, they will start to resonate with your energy and your vibration. Or they will quickly go the opposite direction. But you don't have to engage in that age-old argument of who is right, who has the right ideas, who has the right concepts, who has the right solutions. The solution's already there. And that solution is going to be found in the principles that we practice today. The principles of unity. I want to focus today on 2 of our 5 principles. And of course, the most important one is the one I want to go to right away. The 5th principle of unity, which states, knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, is not enough. I have to live the truth that I know. So it's not saying that you have to know all the truth. It's not saying you have to be some brilliant philosopher or scientist. It just says you have to live the truth that you know. You have to live from the truth that you know right now. And I guarantee you that truth will expand in your mind. If you live the truth you know now, you'll be given more truth. So let's live in that truth that we know right now. You know what it means to live in principle is that we've discovered these truths to be fundamental to spiritual living. And they help redefine our relationship to the divine. And they give us a clear and solid direction for us to focus on our inner light. We talked about that last week. Mastering our inner light. Mastering our magnificence is actually mastering ourselves. That was the whole message from last week. Mastering this inner light that we've been given. Learning to bring that out into the world and demonstrate something else. If we don't like what we're seeing, we have to change the source of what we're seeing, which is within us. When we demonstrate that inner light, we're giving others permission to do the same. It's just been too long that we've given each other permission, ourselves and each other permission to judge one another, to conflict with one another, to find reasons to be at war with one another. And we've justified this as part of life. Why? It's not part of the life that we have been given by a loving Creator. If God is love, life should be one of loving and being loved and expressing that love in all different ways. Anything else is going against your true nature. Some people say you're going against God. Well, you can't really do that because the universe doesn't even know about you in that sense. You're not going to be able to win that battle against the universe. So our only option is to flow with it. Welcome to the flow. Get in the flow of divine universal love, which is what you are. That's where all the power is. There's no power in anything else. We seem to think it is because we seem to think that bringing pain and suffering to others is powerful, but it isn't. It's the weakest thing you could ever imagine. It's just showing you that I'm so weak, I need something to defend myself. No, I'm so powerful that I need not be afraid to tell you that God lives in you. I am so powerful that I can see the Christ in you no matter what you're showing to me. And I don't care what our differences are. And I don't care what role you have taken in the world out there. It's not true. The divine Spirit of the living God lives in you. And I'm inviting you and I'm challenging you to bring that out. To let that be what represents you in the world and not your silly ego. Not your silly personality that you think has all the answers. Because it doesn't have any answers. Our answer has been given us in the principles of unity. That the first one is that there's only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life. That's God the good, omnipotent. So good is omnipotent. God is love, and that is omnipotent. And it is everywhere. It's omniscient. So there's an urgent need. This is also from Eric Butterworth's book, Discover the Power Within You. There is an urgent need for us to discover the divinity in man. And it's a discovery. It's a revelation. The revelation of Yeshua, the one you call Jesus, was that man is divine. In his declaration that I am the Son of God, he was saying that you are the child of God as well. Greater things than I have done will you do. Well, why aren't we doing those greater things? Because we haven't had the revelation that we are also divine. So that is the second principle of unity. That a spark of divinity is in each and every one of us. So from this book, Discover the Power Within You, is a wonderful chapter, The Amazing Beatitudes. And that's where I got the quote that we don't see the world as it is, but we see the world as we are. That came from the Beatitude, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Why? Because they're pure in heart. They're seeing the purity in them, and so they're seeing God. They're seeing in the world what they hold in their heart. Sounds like a German philosopher or something. Goethe, right? Right? The man sees in the world what he holds in his heart. These aren't new truths, but what I'm asking us today is to believe in our hearts that we can live these principles, that we can take the step to living these principles. And do we slip? Yeah, we slip all the time back into the old way of being. Why? Because we haven't practiced it enough, that's all. It's like anything else. It just takes a little bit of practice. It's like Jack's a wonderful guitar player, and he's really good at that. But if all of a sudden we said, Jack, you have to play the guitar left-handed. You're going to make the chords with your right hand and strum in your left hand. It's going to take you some practice. And so this is our problem as human beings. We've been playing that same old song the same way for so long that we don't think it's possible to live in principle. But we need to start today and practice living the principles of truth. And when we fall off, don't get mad at yourself. It's just you've been practicing living the principles of separation for so long that you're too used to it. And just laugh and go, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to live the principles of truth. So according to Eric Butterworth, the next beatitude is, blessed are the peacemakers. So that's what I really want to talk about today. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. This is an important key to the potential God power in man. You notice he says potential God power, because it's there, but you're not going to experience it until you start practicing it. I have the potential of seeing this page. I'm going to see it a lot better when I put these on. Oh, there we are. I'm having a revelation. Man is a spiritual being, a true child of God in spirit. But he only becomes this in fact and in expression when he is attuned to the infinite and expresses his God potential of love and peace. That's the only way you will become it here in your body form, in giving your ego personality over to the soul. Because your soul knows, your soul has a contract here. You're just not fulfilling that contract because you haven't given your human potential or personality or ego over to your soul. You haven't given it to your higher self. You haven't given yourself back to God in order to fulfill your God-given potential. So he says we are spiritual beings, that we are true children of God in spirit. But in order to become that in fact and in expression here, we must give ourselves over and be attuned. I like that word. Attuned. Another musical metaphor is if you don't tune that guitar before you play the song, it's not going to sound very good. No one will really understand what you're playing. It might not be able to be harmonized with. But when you are attuned to the infinite and express your God potential of love and peace, no matter where you find yourself, you can express your God-given potential. When you do that, that spirit of the living God, that spiritual being that you are, becomes a fact and expresses itself here and now. And I think that's very important because we need to teach ourselves constantly, remind ourselves who we really are. Or we fall into immediately a definition given us by the world. That's just a label. That's not who you are. Are you white? Are you black? Are you short? Are you tall? Are you male? Are you female? Are you straight? Are you gay? Are you blah, 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 blah? No, you're not any of those things. Those are all labels. Are you rich? Are you poor? Come on, guys. Did you grow up in the Mideast or in South America? All these things are labels that we use to distract us from the truth that you are actually the light. And you are the light that I need to see right now. You are the light that I need to know myself. I'm not going to know myself unless I see you as the light. If I see you as you are in divine potential fulfilled and expressed here, that's what I'm going to be. Because, why? I see the world as I am. That's a fact. I'm only going to see what is in my own mind, in my own belief system. And so, this, Eric Butterworth says, calls for a diligent conditioning of the mind to accept and release the dynamic potential within. This calls for much meditation and what he calls scientific prayer. I'm going to employ some scientific prayer on this dear one this week who's going for cancer surgery. Okay, you're going to be fine. Because we're all going to employ some scientific prayer. I got two really powerful healers sitting over here. And we're going to employ that scientific prayer, affirming the wholeness of your body and the success of that operation. And we're going to see you back here better than ever. Because we love you. And we bless you, and we behold the Christ in you, and we want you to be with us in full expression here and now. And your time has not come, my dear, so just be certain that it will be a success. Just be certain in your mind. This is beyond faith. This is certainty of God. Beyond faith is certainty. And I have the certain realization that God lives in you. And so nothing can harm your peace. Be in peace. You will be fine. Amen. Thank you. I needed that amen. That means we're in agreement. And it is done. It is done. It is already so. It is already done. And I would love to give you an example. Is that we're going to practice this fifth principle. We're going to practice now beyond our own home. We're going to see the divinity in everyone we meet. That's all I'm looking at now is your divinity. I'm not looking at the label of cancer. I'm looking at your divinity. You are my Messiah in disguise. You showed up today for me to remind me that nothing can disturb my perfection. And when I am reminded of that, I have to give it to you because you're the one who brought it to me. You brought it to me in the form of a prayer. Would you please pray for me? And in that prayer, you were offering me the healing. You were offering me the perfection of my being. So everyone who comes and asks you for prayer or for healing or for help, you cannot turn away because they're actually helping you. They're actually helping you because you have to receive it first from God, from the universe, before you can give it to them. And so you're the first one that receives the benefit of that healing. All of you who are healers, who work as healers or therapists or any type of helper in this world, you know that that is feeding you more than it's feeding them. This guy back here, he feeds the poor. Every day he goes to the kitchen, he feeds the poor. But who's that really feeding? It's feeding you. It's feeding your spirit. And you know it because you keep going back every day. And he invites us to go there and we walk into this holy place. We think, oh, I'm just walking into a soup kitchen. No, I'm walking into a holy place. A holy sacred place where I get to give of myself something that God has given me. And that's the knowledge that I am divine. So this is the fifth principle in action. If you want to practice principle beyond your own home, try seeing the divinity in other people. Try this. This is really great. Try treating them as a Messiah in disguise. This is from Ellen Davenport, her book, The Five Principles. I found that astonishing, amazing, and so easy to do because I'm doing it within my own heart. I'm not worshiping them. I'm not going, you're my Messiah, holy, holy. No. We tried that with Jesus. That didn't work. No. You treat them as a Messiah in disguise, meaning that what they have to offer you is something spiritual and something that you can receive and therefore give. You're treating them as a Messiah allows you to be the Christ, or at least get in touch with that spark of divinity within you, which is the second principle. Human beings have a spark of divinity within them. We call it the Christ Spirit within. Everyone has it. Your very essences of God. Everyone. They're very essences of God, and therefore you are also inherently good. And that's what we need to practice each and every day. That you are inherently good. And that you're worthy of healing, of course. Absolutely. We want you here. We need you here. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. You are inherently good. I'm so grateful for these principles because they are things that we can practice in our everyday life. We are putting it into action. Now, this single revelation, I think, is the most important of all. Of all the teachings of unity, of all the teachings of A Course in Miracles, of the Bible, of any spiritual path that you have ever followed or ever encountered, any spiritual teacher or philosopher or really good author will tell you that this is the most important thing to remember, that God lives in you, that you are divine, that you are beloved of the universe, that you were created perfect and in perfection, and you were meant to bring forth that perfection in this world. We all have the spark of the divine, the Christ light within us. And so how fun is that we get to be on this adventure together of how much can I bring out the Christ in myself and in others. What a great, fun adventure. How much can I bring out the life and light and way in you? You are the way, the truth, and the life. You sitting right there. And you don't even realize how many times that you've touched my life or touched someone else's life. And in that moment, showed them that they too are the truth, the way, and the life. That they too are divine. That you just took the time to stop and talk to someone. That you held the door open for them. That you gave them that phone call. That you sent in that donation. That you had a deep conversation. That you took the time to heal a relationship. Even the act of wearing your masks here today is an act of love. Pull it up over your nose, please. It's an act of love. Your nose is connected to your lungs. You can breathe in through your nose too. Okay, I'm just saying. It's an act of love. And some of your masks are really cute. They got little patterns on them. They're beautiful. You guys are awesome. Jess and Wendy got the super, construction heavy-duty masks. They could go to the hospital with those masks. I love it. I got masks like that, but I only use them for when I'm using caustic paint chemicals. When I'm sanding polyurethane. Right? And that's what this thing's like, man. It's like ingesting I'm not going into all that. But all I can say is that this is an adventure in loving one another. And so if wearing a mask is going to help someone else, that's easy. I am definitely going to take that step in acknowledging that you are beloved of God, that you are a child of God, and that you are one with me. And so even in our smallest acts, we can
express that we see the divinity in another. You know, in India, when I was there a long time ago, it's a poor country. It was poorer at that time. And in the smallest acts, they would just go like that, namaste. I see the God in you. Just in the smallest little act. And they would do that all day long. In some places, it was not just a tradition. They were really doing it. They were really acknowledging the God in one another. And when I began to see that can be done, that you don't need any schooling, you don't need any theology, you don't need any religion, you don't need any church, you don't need any great philosophy. All you need to do is acknowledge the God in your neighbor. Wow. And what does namaste mean? It means the God in me acknowledges the God in you. So you first have to get in touch with the place in you where God dwells. Then you can see it in others. I see the world not as it is, but as I am. Once again, God in me sees the God in you. Incredible. And so that's our second principle, that you are inherently divine. You are inherently good because you were made from that spirit, that same spirit. So here's a man that, this week I've been listening a lot about John Lewis, who is our civil rights icon who passed away recently. And this is actually his Twitter account profile picture. He's so bright. And he's such a light in this world, such a wonderful guy. And he stood up for people. And he wanted us to realize that we are all part of the same divine nature. No matter the color of our skin, no matter who we love or what we believe, we are all afforded the same equal blessing under the laws of the universe and God. And so I'd like to just share with you a few of his words in closing today. I'd like to share with you some of his words. Because he talked about the light. And the first step in practicing this principle, the second principle of unity, and seeing the light in others, seeing the divinity in others, which we could call the light, it really begins in recognizing it for ourselves. So here are his words. You are a light. You are the light. Never let any person or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Study the path of others to make your way easier and more abundant. Lean toward the whispers of your heart. Discover the universal truth and follow its dictates. Release the need to hate, to harbor division, and the enticement of revenge. Release all bitterness and hold only to love. Only peace in your heart, knowing that the battle of good to overcome evil is already won. It is already won. Choose confrontation wisely, but when it is your time, do not be afraid to stand up, to speak up, and speak out against injustice. And if you follow your truth down the road to peace and the affirmation of love, if you shine like a beacon for all to see, then the poetry of all the great dreamers and philosophers is yours to manifest in a nation, a world community, and a beloved community that is finally at peace with itself. Those are the kind of people that I want in our government. Those are the kind of people I want to hang around with. Those are the kind of people I want to acknowledge because they see the Christ
in each other, in you, in everyone, even in those who are attacking and beating them. Somehow they can find the courage to see the Christ in them. At least the spark of divinity, as Unity would say. At least the spark. John Lewis also had some important words for us that he wrote just before his transition that were to be read at his funeral. And I took a small excerpt from them, which I would like to use as my closing today. He has the smile of my first pastor. So, though I may not be here with you, he said, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all that I can do to demonstrate that the way of peace and love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate, and at last that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. So I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. Let the power of everlasting love be your guide. That's what I've come to express to you today. That we can do it and we will do it. We will let peace and the power of everlasting love guide us from this day forward. Remember your purpose. When you're tempted to go back into the old ways of judgment, remember your purpose. Let the power of peace and everlasting love be your guide. That's our guide. That's our focus. That's our intention. Remember that and be that, because you will experience in the world exactly how you're seeing yourself. I see you whole and perfect and free, and you are a blessing in my life. So be blessed, my friends, and continue to be a blessing. I love you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.